This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Daily English Premier League podcast brought to you by GSPN. You are joined today with me, your host, Michael Thompson, and Michał, who is not in the USA anymore, featuring a Polish shirt in the background and balls bigger than his own. It's Michał, everybody.
I love this introduction. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back home. And wow, I mean, what a weekend of Premier League football we've had. I mean, yeah, we could talk about my balls all day long, but it's not important. What's more important is that what was going on in the English stadiums this weekend. That was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So much to cover this episode for you. So we're going to keep you up to date with all the action that's happened over the weekend, including an historic FA Cup final. We've got a heating up to the final day of the season, with masks proving to be one of the biggest problems of all as the race for Europe intensifies and goes down to the wire. So to kick us off today, we're going to jump straight in to the iconic victory that saw Crystal Palace win the FA Cup with an extremely narrow victory over Man City. Eze scored in the 16th minute with Palace's first attack. Dean Henderson escaped a red card for a handball, and then Henderson also went on to save Marmush's penalty. Daniel Muns has Palace second ruled out for being just adjudicated offside. It was a final that brought everything. The biggest thing for me has to be the fact that City was so underwhelming, and I don't know whether that's because they were poor or whether Palace turned up and stopped them from being able to do very much.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this game live, I was just super surprised that Kevin De Bruyne was the only, and Jeremy Doku were the only two Manchester City players who actually found their way to the Wembley Stadium pitch. Because for all the remaining players, I mean, okay, maybe apart from defense as well, they did not deliver whatsoever. I mean, Erling Haaland, he had a super discreet performance. Marmush, I have no idea why Haaland allowed Marmush to take this penalty. Who knows? Maybe Marmush, he got too much stress getting into his head. But they were dreadful. They were dreadful in attack, although they had so much possession. Even though, it really seemed as if they had the initiative, but they were dreadful in execution. And once I saw the final stats of this game, 78% to 22% ball possession to Man City. 3 chances, 23 shots registered, 23, and not even one went into the net. And of course, out of those 23 shots, 6 were saved by the amazing Dean Henderson. The guy who managed to throw Guardiola off. Well, it's not that hard anyway to throw him off his emotional balance. There was. I don't know whether you saw that, Mikey. Guardiola, he came up to Henderson with some, I think, far from nice words to Henderson for time wasting, and Henderson was just like, "Well, I was just trying to win the game of football, and we got a title. So you didn't get a title. Quit crying."
Yeah, it was really interesting. There was a lot of things that I thought that were quite interesting that happened. The fact that his handball wasn't deemed as a clear goal scoring opportunity was the main reason he didn't get a red card. But
yeah,
I think you do need a little bit of luck in games like this, and that was a huge bit of luck. Henderson was probably one of their best players on the pitch. I actually thought that Crystal Palace played far too deep so early in the game that it would be a matter of time that City had an opportunity, but they managed to just mop it up and accept that they were allowing City to have possession, and they just had Banks at the back that just managed it. And when they did get through, Henderson pulled off some, like, as you've already said, amazing saves. Really, a question a bit for you though is, why is City's main man, top goal scorer, probably one of the most successful strikers in Europe, in the world at the minute? Why is he not taking a penalty? I understand he's missed penalties, but why is he not? Surely as a goal scorer. I mean, Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney and Gary Lineker were talking about it at half time, and I completely agreed. Why would you not be taking the penalty? Even if you've missed, you've got to put yourself in a chance to score in Wembley Stadium.
That's the kind of stuff that you later hear on some Netflix documentary, that there's like a big mystery behind it all. Like, why didn't he take a penalty that would give him at least the extra time or maybe the title? I think the only person who knows what happened there and why the penalty was to be taken by Marmush and not by Haaland, there are only two people who know what happened. It's Haaland and it's Guardiola. To be honest, just from the pure football point of view, I absolutely agree. Like, how on earth would you not allow Haaland to score such a vital penalty when you're already trailing 1-0, when you're one goal behind, and you are under pressure and you have to get the ball forward, and all of a sudden you get a gift like that in a game when nothing goes right for you, maybe apart from ball possession, and you just let Marmush bottle it. Well, to be honest, I can kind of see the other side of the argument being okay, but Marmush, he had this wonderful entry to the Manchester City squad, wonderful talent. For sure, he could take it. And besides, maybe the Haaland's recent injury also had something to do with the fact that he did not take the penalty, and instead Marmush did. But I guess we'll never know unless there will be some documentary about, I don't know, Erling Haaland on Netflix. I don't know whether I'll be able to watch that one as a Man United fan, but, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, the interesting thing that Dean Henderson said when he was interviewed after the game was that if Haaland had taken the penalty, he had no idea which way he would have gone. Whereas when he said Marmush stepped up, he knew exactly where he was going to dive. Which I guess that's another rub of the green that they got. And I also think, and I know this is quite controversial, I understand why it was given, but I don't think it was a penalty. I think Bernardo Silva was looking for contact and was going down quite quickly. I don't think the contact brought him to the ground. I think it would very well. Yeah, it was very well won, shall we say, as opposed to a clumsy challenge. Although it was clumsy.
Yeah, but then again, it was a clumsy challenge, and that was one of the reasons why the decision for the penalty to be given can be defended easily. I mean, this is not the kind of a decision where the referee was just a meter and a half away from the challenge, and he was blind and he did not see that there was a tackle. Here, it was just like it was plain as day that the challenge was made. It was sloppy. Whether there was contact or no contact, once we fall down this rabbit hole, we won't be able to dig ourselves back.
Yeah,
and I think you know what I mean. So I think let's just leave it at that. We gotta say, congratulations to the South London team, because we have to talk about what Louis mentioned in the preview of this FA Cup final, and that it was such a great occasion for South London. Like, so many people were celebrating the fact that Crystal Palace had an opportunity to win the very first ever FA Cup, and that happened against a star-studded Manchester City side, form notwithstanding. Amazing, absolutely amazing, and congratulations to them. And actually, now I would like to paraphrase the joke that you made, because it was an amazing joke. If Manchester United win the trophy at Bilbao, would you say that we had that we had just as good a season as Crystal Palace and better than Man City and Arsenal?
It's hard not to disagree. I think trophies go down in record books, don't they? And nobody
Yeah.
remembers the form of how you played that season when you're
Yeah.
talking about it in 5 years. So yeah, I'd have to say absolutely. So fingers crossed, but I'm not holding my breath for Wednesday. I just hope it's a good game because it's got the potential to be an absolute shocker. However, Crystal Palace winning this FA Cup final secures them a place in the Europa League as the winners of the FA Cup. That denies Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth and Fulham the chance of qualifying for Europe because 8th spot will now not be awarded with a place to the UEFA Conference League. Palace take the FA Cup place, which puts them into the Europa League, and the second spot will go to the team in 6th. That means, as it stands, 7th place, Nottingham Forest, would go into the UEFA Conference League. This is coming out of Sky Sports. And getting their panic together, we will be talking about the race for Europe afterwards. But if you are panicking, have a check out of Bioniq.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Absolutely. Check it out, Bioniq. It is supported and endorsed by GSPN. Now we're going to deep dive into the race for Europe, which consisted before the weekend began with teams needing victories. With only 2 games left in the season, we are now going to review those games. Arsenal somehow managed to not get a point in the last 5 games and needed just 1 point to secure Champions League football next year. They have managed to do that this weekend against Newcastle at the Emirates Stadium, where 1 goal was decided, and what a fantastic goal it was. Declan Rice with that goal. Newcastle unfortunately missed their chance of breaking their club's history record for over, I think it was 15 years, 20 years maybe, of when they last were in second place in the Premier League. It's an opportunity missed for Newcastle, I've got to say, but it does leave the race for Europe wide open going into the final weekend. I'm going to go through a few of the games and we'll get your opinion on some of them, Michał. We had Villa and Chelsea both playing on Friday night against the Europa League finalists, and no shocks to see that both teams secured clean sheets, and it was quite a comprehensive victory for both. Although I do have to say, after watching the United game in the first half, I was quite happy with how United were playing. I thought they had a good game. Very, very, very impressed with Harry Maguire and his confidence on the ball. I think if there's ever a documentary made, as you've mentioned, it should be about him and the grief and the highs and lows of his career. And he was very harshly adjudicated offside for his very well taken finish. So there was no shocks there with Chelsea and Villa both winning. It also left, who else? Man City to play later this week when they will play against Bournemouth at home, who are also in that race for the 8th spot. I mean, there's so much to talk about here. Let's go into the weekend first. Let's work systematically. Villa against Spurs. What did you think?
Villa against Spurs. I guess that is a nice, preview for United fans as to what to come. Because, yes, there was a lot of combination play that is allowed, one-touch play in midfield by Spurs. But at the end of the day, the big class of Villa just was presented after those especially after this first goal by Konsa and then Kamara to make it 2-0. To be honest, I have a big problem with actually putting such games as the showcase of what's to come. for the final, because them like that the Europa League final would be a last resort for Tottenham, just as well as for Man United. So should we take any lessons as Man United fans from that game, looking at Tottenham against Aston Villa? I don't think so. Just stepping away from Spurs for a minute, I really liked Asensio in the game. Konsa, of course, obviously, very nicely played. Poland's own Matty Cash, not as great a performance as usual, but he was active. Overall, very nice performance by Aston Villa. And Tottenham, well, they have to regroup, and best of luck on Wednesday.
Absolutely, and I think it probably wise to wrap this up by talking about the fixtures that are coming up. So obviously Arsenal are guaranteed that second place, but 3 places remain open: Newcastle United, Chelsea, Villa, Man City and Nottingham Forest, all running in for Champions League football. I think the pick of the bunch, which we talked about just before we started recording, was Chelsea against Nottingham Forest. Chelsea being at home for that game. It's an all or nothing fixture that for both of those teams. City play Fulham away from home. Newcastle host Everton, and then we've got Aston Villa who play Man United at Old Trafford, who could be the Europa League winners on that occasion. If all the teams win, as it stands, and City win midweek, it will be as... No, it won't be. It will be... I'm just trying to work this out as quickly as I can. It will be Chelsea, Newcastle and City who take Champions League football, leaving Villa and Nottingham Forest in respective 6th and 7th. But is it going to go as simply as that? Are these games going to just... roll out as we imagine? It's really hard. It's really exciting. I'm glad that, I guess, a boring Premier League season in the sense of top and bottom has left us with something that's quite interesting in the race for Europe.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm also super excited for it. And by the way, like just for one clarification, that last game of Chelsea, it will be an away game for Chelsea, and they will be playing at the City Ground at Nottingham Forest. So there should be a home advantage for the folks of Nuno Espirito Santo. Just about the form, I saw how they were playing against West Ham, and there were so many things going on in that game. I think we can mention it later on, so I will not delve into it too much. What I will say is that Nottingham Forest, they finally, I think they're already, I think they're already caught up with their best form yet, that we remember from a couple months back. And because of that, I think that we are looking for a strong Nottingham Forest finish. They were struggling, but I think they are slowly putting those struggles behind them. Whereas Chelsea, just because you win 1-0 against Manchester United, it doesn't make you a favourite. Because now it's super easy to win against Man United. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. So I hear this is going to be a do-or-die battle. I would not be surprised if there are a lot of injuries on both sides, because that is going to be a fight for the grandeur, for the splendor of playing in the Champions League. So I wouldn't say that Chelsea are the favourites. I would say that it will go down to one minimal technical mistake, one throw of the just one lucky throw of the dice. I think that's what it's going to go down to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the fixtures, and I think out of all of those teams, actually Newcastle have probably got the easiest fixture in playing Everton at home, purely because Everton haven't got anything to play for, whereas Man City are playing Fulham, who are fighting for that final place in the table. Chelsea and Forest are both playing for Champions League football, and Villa are playing a Man United side that could be coming off the back of European victory, and also are really hard to judge at the minute, quite unpredictable Man United. It could be an easy victory for Villa, but you never quite know. So I think that actually Newcastle, if I had to put money on it, put money where my mouth is, I would say Newcastle would be the team for me that has the best chance of getting European football. And I really hope that Nottingham Forest managed to clinch it as well. Just because what a story that would be. And talking about what story, we'll go to Leicester really quickly as Jamie Vardy marked his end of his Leicester Football Club career. His 200th goal on his 500th game in his final club appearance. And what a way to mark your occasion. We talked about it. I talked about it with Louis on the Friday podcast, and he is an absolute icon in the Premier League history, in my opinion. He will go down in history at Leicester Football Club, that's for sure. And what a way to finish for the Foxes.
Yeah. I mean, that was that kind of a feel-good victory after a very tough season. And 200 goals of Jamie Vardy in his 500 appearances for Leicester City. This guy has done it all. He got relegated with Leicester. He got promoted with Leicester. He won trophies with Leicester. He lost trophies with Leicester. He has done it all. And he is rightfully set to be like one of the legends of the Premier League. He will be missed by the Foxes fans, and in top form, Jamie Vardy would certainly come in handy in a season back in the Championship where the Foxes when the Foxes will have to fight back for the rightful spot in the Premier League next season. He's not going to be there, but just as Jamie Vardy said in a post-match interview in the middle of the pitch with all the Foxes fans listening in, he said that, they'll do fine. They'll do all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just before we sign off from this section of the pod, we should make a footnote to Everton bidding farewell to Goodison Park in style. They managed to score a win of 2-0 against Southampton. And as I say, it is the end of the men's game at the stadium before they move to their brand new 52,888 capacity Hill Dixon Stadium at Bramall Moor next season. But the women's Everton team will continue at Goodison Park, which is a fantastic gesture, I think, and a really big step forward for the girls and women's game. And making good choices is what Everton do best. And that's why we at GSPN pride ourselves on making the right choice for our podcasting platform. And Zencastr is that choice.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out as the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone, AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the description to learn more about Zencastr.
Absolutely. Check it out, as I always tell you to. Follow us on the social media handles. Make sure you're keeping up to date with all the latest football coming out of the Premier League. Follow your team, follow us, follow everybody. Now we're going to finish today's episode with our highlights from the weekend. And what a weekend of football it has been, and how exciting it is for the climax. Next weekend's episode is going to be a very, very big one. We are going to bid farewell to the 24-25 season, and we will know who has clinched those final European spots. Now, this weekend has to go, for me, as a highlight. I think it's only right to do so, and that would be giving Crystal Palace my highlight of lifting the FA Cup and going against all odds to be the familiar team of Man City in those finals. And their star man, who I highly doubt will be there next season, in Eze. What a phenomenal player he's been for them this year. He took his goal fantastically well. Everything he does on that pitch is outstanding. And the fact that they made that game so difficult for City to break down, and they didn't really make the City look as though they had many chances to cause them a problem. And for that, being a Man United fan and watching the blue side of Manchester lose in a final and have the opportunity, as you've already alluded to have a more successful season than them after one of our worst ever, is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I owe all of those emotions to Crystal Palace. So that's my highlight from the weekend. How about you?
I just hope we're not going to have to eat our words after this Wednesday. Hold on. I'm to all of the listeners. I'm right now caressing the team crest of Manchester United. Don't worry about it. Okay, my highlight. It's not that big of a highlight, but it's a little bit of a bitter side of football, unfortunately, and that is West Ham Forest game. Let's just say the scandal point number one was that the West Ham goalkeeper. Łukasz Fabiański, Poland's own, he was not given a chance to retire and to end his journey with West Ham like at London Stadium at the goal. There was like a post-match interview. There was a post-match interview with Łukasz Fabiański, and the goalie said that he was super disappointed that Graham Potter did not honor the history of the club, and he did not allow him to have this one final game. Which, and to be honest, for West Ham, that game, there is nothing really to play for anymore for West Ham. There's not going to be any European football. They are safe from relegation. They're not going to be champions. So there wasn't really a lot in terms of Premier League football to play for. So there really would be no harm in starting with Łukasz Fabiański. And the fact that he was not given this chance is just disgraceful. And Graham Potter said that he is the kind of guy who respects the history of the club he's working in. Well, that was not that is not how it's done, Mr. Potter. And another thing about this game was the refereeing. And talking about Premier League referees seems like a never-ending story. I am well aware of that. But with that being said, have you ever seen a referee being just surrounded by players, just pushing him around, and him, instead of standing up for himself, just standing there, just like strolling down the pitch, whereas there's a big fight going on? Like, that is not how you referee a game on the top flight. You have to go in between those players, and you have to stamp your authority from the get-go. Because if you don't, guess what? They will ignore you. And this is exactly what happened. And then Samuel Barrett, he tried to basically repair his authority by giving out yellow cards like crazy at the end of the game after a big scuffle. But he lost control of that game, this referee Barrett, and because of that, that was not the best of spectacles of football. Yes, that is a good result for Nottingham Forest because they're still in the race for Champions League football. But refereeing left a lot to be desired. But that's about almost every single Premier League referee now. So, yeah. But is it newsworthy? Yeah, for me, it is. I don't know.
And you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. First, we have had quite a lot to talk about there. I think we've covered it quite well. We could have done more, absolutely. But how can we not speak about all the things that we have and give the details that we have? Europe is going to be decided this time next week. So stick around as you get your daily dose of English Premier League podcast from us, the Daily English Premier League podcast at GSPN. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on a very similar time frame to me for a change.
Yay!
And ladies and gentlemen, we will see if Crystal Palace have affected teams and who they have affected after being crowned FA Cup champions 2025. It's goodbye from me.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.